Alrighty, what's going on Twitter today? Let me check this out. Oh, Jay Barry, that guy's a pony. But what is he saying? I'm listening to an Xbox podcast called We Bleed Green podcast, where they didn't want to talk about Halo Infinite rumors. They only spoke like 5 minutes on it, but spoke about PS5 in trouble for damn well 30 minutes. Xbox podcast? Damn, Jay Barry, what did I do to you? I mean, we didn't want to talk about Halo Infinite again because we've been talking about this shit for 4 or 5 straight weeks. Oh, man. I mean, I'm sorry, brother, to upset you. But thanks for watching. Oh, now, who was this guy? PlayStation 5 slave. Oh, damn. His name says what he feels. That podcast is dog shit. Oh, my God. What did we do to you? It got all of Zaire lackeys there. Sean, Devin, the Bot, and Tsunami. Damn, those my WBG brothers, man. PlayStation slave, you have no respect. You have no respect, sir. What about my boy Darklink 999? That's the homie. What'd he say? I mean, yeah, that's what pro Xbox podcasts do. They don't talk about the games they are playing, but rather specs and how Sony is in trouble yet again. Like every generation, Sony's supposed to be in last and go out of business, yet Xbox has never won a generation or came in second. Darklink, I thought we were cool, brother. And do you believe in commas and periods, bro? But damn, man, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm a PlayStation fan. Why are you guys being so hard on We Bleed Green? Now, I know my boy Mark Woodland would not be too hard on We Bleed Green. He said, if it's a We Bleed Green Xbox show, why are you guys discussing PlayStation so much? It's for Xbox guys, right? Mark, you know it's a gaming podcast first, so if PlayStation's in the news, we'll speak on it. But I'm just curious. Do you ask those pro PlayStation podcasts why they talk about Xbox so damn much? Probably not. So let me get this right. Ponies, or Xbox haters or whatever. It seems like WBG Xbox podcast has caught their attention. It has caught their attention to the point they're listening to the podcast just to criticize us. And that happens in this console war. That happens all of the time. But for some reason, it only seems like ponies jump in Xbox podcasts. I don't see or hear too many things about Xbox guys jumping in PlayStation guys podcasts. Me personally, I don't want to hear this shit. You know why? Because most of the time, those guys are just bashing Xbox. Look, when I decided to do a YouTube channel, I just wanted to be a different voice in the Xbox community. Yes, that's it. I'm still a super small channel. I've grown a lot over the last couple years, but I'm still a small channel. Now, when we decided to do the WBG Xbox podcast, first off, let me say this. I was doing Scram Punk's podcast, and Scram Punk's podcast is a more diverse podcast. We have a Nintendo girl on there. We got a couple of Stadia guys, and I'm actually looking for a PlayStation guy to be a regular on that podcast. Just a PlayStation fan, not a pony. That's the difference. So when I said a couple years ago, I want to do an Xbox podcast just for Xbox guys, and I messed around and procrastinated, and it took my boy Devin to say, yo, Dirk, when you gonna do that podcast? Let's start it right now. And bam, we did it. He came up with Bleed Green, and I added the We Bleed Green podcast, right? So it's a podcast, right, for Xbox fans. Let me tell you guys this, because people really want to say what Xbox, what WBG should be. First off, it's my podcast, right? So the thing that WBG is, when I say the slogan, WBG is an Xbox podcast by Xbox fans for Xbox fans. Because let's be honest, the reason I say that is because I'm still an Xbox fan that listens to Xbox podcasts in this community. I listen to RDX. I listen to Rand's podcast. I listen to different podcasts in this community because I'm still a fan. And I noticed that there were a couple of supposedly pro Xbox podcasts with ponies on the panel. Like, no, I don't want to hear that shit. I want to hear an Xbox podcast catered towards Xbox fans. Then I would hear a podcast from Xbox guys with neutrals on the channel. I mean, that's how they want to do their podcast, and that's fine. But I have a podcast like that, but I wanted a podcast catered towards Xbox fans. Now, this is where the problem comes into play. Some of these Xbox haters, ponies, say, well, since you have an Xbox podcast catered towards Xbox fans, why are you talking PlayStation news? Nigga, what? What? Now, WBG Xbox podcast isn't just a Xbox podcast, it's a gaming podcast. So you guys are telling me you want me to ignore all other PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever news and just focus on Xbox? Do you guys do that shit? On those pro PlayStation podcasts? Do you guys do that? No, you don't. You talk about Xbox all day. And if we're talking about PlayStation, it's because PlayStation is in the news. There's some type of PlayStation news that there's to talk about. So you guys are full of shit. Gonna sit here and tell me your Xbox podcast shouldn't talk about PlayStation. It's my podcast. I can talk about what the hell I want to. You talk about Xbox all day on your damn podcast. I can talk about what I want to. And this pisses me off. These guys come to these pro Xbox channel like mine, expecting me to bash Xbox. If people really listen to my channel, you guys know I will call out Xbox when they piss me off. If you really listen to my channel, now I'm not talking about listen to a video here, listen to one of my pro Xbox videos there. If you really listen to my channel, I am too old to sit up here and lie or 100% be a blind fanboy. I'm not a blind fanboy. But if I like something, I say it. If I don't, I say it. So, at the end of the day, it seems that WBG Xbox Podcast has caught these ponies' attention. They just listen to it to see what we say. Just to come back on Twitter the next day and say, I was listening to this Xbox podcast and they said this, they said that. They didn't want to talk about Halo. This nigga said we didn't want to talk about Halo. You know what? I asked the question on last night podcast. I asked the chat, do you guys want me to talk about Halo? The reason I said that is because we've been talking about Halo for 5 straight weeks. 5 straight weeks. And we still wound up talking about Halo for about 15, 20, 30 minutes. Now, I'm not stupid. I knew when I would start a YouTube channel and my channel would be, I guess, big enough for people to recognize me, even though I'm still super small. I knew people would come after me just because I'm an Xbox guy. That's how it works. I'm not stupid. I knew that. But if you come after me, you better have some receipts and you better be right. You better have some real shit on me, because I'm not about to sit back and let you say what you want to say about me. I ain't that type of dude. Especially if it's not accurate. You guys only talked about you guys talked the whole podcast about PlayStation. You a damn lie. If you listen to the whole podcast, we did not only talk about PlayStation. There was some PlayStation topics. Yes, there was. We're a gaming podcast first and foremost. Like, we heard about the whole PlayStation DualSense 5. It will recognize you if you hold the controller. So yeah, I brought that up. You know why? Because it's in the news. Right? It's in the news. And sometimes guys in the chat will bring up stuff about PlayStation. Some of the ponies in the chat will bring up stuff. I'm not going to just ignore them. I'm going to say, hey, this guy just said this. Let's talk about it. If you do a 2-hour podcast every week, and me, I do 2 2-hour podcasts every week, Sometimes the chat will bring up things and you talk about what they said. These guys know this. But no, they want to come after WBG because we're an Xbox podcast. I got sick and tired of these RIP Xbox shows. Every damn channel, all of my favorite YouTubers I used to love, every damn show is an RIP Xbox show. So I decided, hey, let's make a Xbox show that's not RIP Xbox. Hell, even my own show, Scram Punks, on Wednesday nights sometimes becomes an RIP Xbox show. I try to avoid it. I try to prevent it. But when you have MM2K on there, Snow Bunny, other people on there, they say something bad about Xbox and shit. Here it is. So, you guys are all full of shit. And at WBG, I will say it again, is a pro Xbox podcast for Xbox fans. Yes, we talk about PlayStation. Yes, we talk about Nintendo. Yes, we talk about PC. Yes, we talk about gaming and period. This period. With you guys' logic, you should get, like, we only talk Xbox? No. When I say a pro Xbox podcast, it's not a RIP Xbox podcast. We openly admitted that Halo Infinite development has been a shit show. Yes, we admitted all of that, but y'all don't listen to that. Y'all hear what y'all want to hear. You know what? I'm about to get out of here, man. I'm about to get out of here. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you happen to stumble upon my channel, you think I'm decent enough, why don't you subscribe? And if you subscribe, hit that notification bell to know what my black ass is doing to new content, baby. All right, everybody. Peace and love. Peace and love. Shit. Damn, man.